Welcome to Feedback Friday. This is where Tim and I review resumes and portfolios. You will see I am alone today. Tim is off double booked doing something more fun. It'll just be you and I speaking today. Uh, if you have a resume or portfolio, add it to the chat. We currently have 4 on the list. We will likely have time for one more, though when it gets into the 6 range, that's where it starts to get a little questionable. That said, it's just me, so we typically go through them a little bit more quickly. We do this every Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and everything is being live streamed and recorded on the YouTubes. If you go to the chat and scroll to the top, you'll see there's a YouTube link there. The benefit there being you don't have to take any notes. The sacrifice being it's shared with the wider world. So if you have a phone number on your resume, for example, that you don't necessarily want to showcase to the internet, you may want to censor that before we take a look at anything. That's the spiel in a nutshell. I'm going to go right over to the list. I see Yash is up next. Yash, give me a second. You're on deck. One of the consequences of hosting this alone is that I also have to keep up with the chat list here. So I see that Faith is now 5 on the list with their own portfolio. So I got to open that up. And I think we're good to go, at least for the time being. Yash, if you're out there, put your hand up, or I'm going to try to find you. And I can invite you to the stage. Humna, get your hand down. You're not Yash. Yash, there you are. Invite to speak.
Hey, hi Nate.
Yash, hello,
Thank you so
welcome.
much for organizing.
Uh, Glad you were able to join us. Describe to me a little bit more about who you are and what's the problem you're trying to solve.
I'm a product designer and strategist. I'm based in New York. I have around 7 years of experience designing in consumer and enterprise spaces. I recently completed a master's degree and graduated this year from Parsons School of Design. And right now, I'm in that space where I'm sort of looking for my next opportunity, which is why I sort of built this, website for the first time ever, and really sort of need your, feedback on the direction that it's taken. In terms of my work, I would say I'm a design generalist. In the past 7 years, I've worked on many different sort of domains and industries. I started off working in the healthcare industry, then moved over to consumer products at HP, where I was designing printer control panels. Um, then during my time here, I've worked on edtech, uh, projects. I've done a concept that was entirely vibe coded in finance. Uh, I did a long-term internship last year that was in a sort of a growth strategy role. So overall, I have a lot of variety of experiences, and I'm also building a lot with AI, which is a skill that most sort of employers are looking for now.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why I've approached this portfolio in a way, trying to highlight those skills there. Today I'd really like just your feedback on, what's working here, what's not, what are you getting from it, and also, uh, just one last thing is that I think in terms of systems, I've always been a systems thinker, more of an interaction designer, a UX designer than a visual designer. So I'd really also like feedback on the visual craft here, and if it's up to the mark.
I think I understand. When you say the word system, you're thinking the visual identity and like a design system level of thinking?
No, I would say in terms of the workflow and research and sort of helping users fulfill their needs.
Got it. All right, cool. Tell me a little bit. I got the goal written down that you're looking for your next opportunity. Are you actively applying right now?
Yes, I am.
And what's the role that you're applying for?
I'm mostly applying for senior product designer roles.
Excellent. And I appreciate the elevation in there as well with senior. Good to know. You mentioned that you were an intern. Was that a recent intern position? Because I also see you've got 7 years of experience.
Yes, so I decided to do this master's degree after around 7 years of in the industry. in my time here last year, in the summer break, I took up an internship, but really it was an internship all but in name. I was part of a lean sort of innovation team that was almost just five people, almost running like a startup on in the background. So I really the scope of my work was very much like a full-time employee there.
Got it. Right on. And good for you for maintaining education there. A lot of folks scoff at interns in their like non student level uh, years, I guess I would say. I think that's very cool that your goal there was to maintain education and stay up to date, and your strategy was an intern in a position. I think that's awesome. All right, let's take a look here. Strategic product designer turning ambiguous problems into thoughtful, scalable experiences. I'm going to take some notes as we're writing here. Are you able to see my screen all right?
Yes, yes, we can
Perfect.
see the notes.
Yeah, the notes are fine too. And that enables you to correct me if I write down anything wrong. We scroll down, we immediately go to case studies. You've got a lot of case studies. Look at that. 7+ years shipping delightful products. Okay. And I think I'm learning that this website's a one pager, but I thought I saw a nav bar at the top. Yeah. Play about me. Okay. And then about.me. Neat. Now, as I'm reviewing this, I think you're doing a lot of things here correctly and well. Do you believe there's a particular friction point that's holding you back?
Um, I've I've mainly received feedback about the visual craft of it, and really like a spectrum of feedback. A lot of people saying, "Oh, it looks so polished, it looks so nice." Some people saying, "This feels like too much, like it's vibe coded a little too hard." So mostly on that, and maybe a little bit of feedback on also the amount of case studies that I'm showing. I think the biggest challenge, like for me right now, is trying to balance, that generalist profile and
Mm-hmm.
show intent in my application. Because most employers right now are looking for experiences that are specifically in their industry.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second then. Positioning is a huge portion of the things I talk about. Have you been on Feedback Fridays before, and have you heard me talk about positioning in the past?
No, this is my second time. I was here last week, so I heard a little bit, but not too much.
Perfect. All right, cool. Let's talk about positioning for a second. So the debacle you're describing is you perceive yourself as a generalist. Therefore, as you're applying for jobs, you have the ability to apply for an amount of jobs, a high amount of jobs. Amazon has a job description, Instacart has a job description, Pharma has a job description. You can apply for all of those because you're of a generalist skill set. Advantages to that. There are also some real sacrifices. And the hurdle is if somebody else applies for one of those jobs and they specialize in that industry, they will outbid you likely for that position. And that's what you're describing. That's a typical response to the current market. So, one of the things we talk about heavily on these Feedback Fridays is let's find a way to position you into a specific niche for which there is fewer competition available that you can't be outbid for. Now, this has a real sacrifice in the sense that you will no longer be able to apply for these other jobs, but your niche is now at a point where you are the more advantageous hire when those positions become available. Let me pause there. Is all of that making sense so far?
Yes, absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. So let's challenge this thought for a second. So when I describe this mindset to folk, the common reaction is, well, that's kind of scary, right? Because like maybe I'm new to the industry, which you're not. Maybe I'm new to design. I don't know like which bucket to put myself in yet, and I want to be able to apply for all of those other jobs too, right? So now like let's say we position you for healthcare. We dedicate your website, we change your value prop at the homepage to focus heavily on healthcare, which is reminiscent to my own website. And then a job at Amazon opens up. And your response might be, well, I really want to apply for that Amazon job, but my website's not doing me any favors because I'm really specific. So, like, maybe I can generalize my website a little bit so I can also apply for those other jobs. And now you're back to square one where now you've generalized your positioning and somebody else is applying for that job and they specialize in like high tech. So they will still outbid you for that job. So the only wise strategy here is to build a niche and target a specific audience. Build build like sort of one specific bucket that we're wanting to tackle and then position you around that particular bucket. So if we're looking at your website in its current state, it sounds like you're already aware that this is generalistic in nature. And the quandary here is like the value prop, a strategic product designer turning ambiguous problems into thoughtful, scalable experiences. I could take that value prop and copy and paste it on my portfolio, and it still makes sense. Therefore, the very first, your introduction for recruiters and hiring managers don't differentiate you from that of other candidates. Thus, you are no longer as memorable to that of other candidates, and those with more specific value props are going to be better positioned than you for those particular roles. There are some tricks that we can do here, but let's talk about that in a second. Let me just ask you: do you have any ideas or mindsets of like if you were to target an audience, any direction, any ideas which direction you might wish to go?
I've been thinking about that a lot, and honestly, like, I'm very industry agnostic. If anything, that's the part that I love about design, that I can immerse myself in any industry and really sort of pick up things fast and make something. So I mean, but if I had to pick one, I would probably, some of the stronger pieces of my portfolio are in healthcare and in finance and growth. So it could be maybe either either one of them, really.
Where you and I are very similar in regard to our pasts here. Are you within the United States?
Yes, I'm in New York.
Oh, cool. Okay. The reason I'm asking is because I don't think it's controversial to state that U.S. is heading toward a recession, and finance and healthcare are typically two industries that are healthy or healthier in times of recession. So, like in regard to your positioning, I think that those are two wise industries to target. Now, the Tim and I, who run the session, we have a website, designshape.com. We've tried to tackle some of this. So in the nav bar, we've got the find your positioning button up there, and I can add this to the chat. When I talk with the folks about positioning who like are struggling to figure out what their positioning looks like, when I talk more with them in depth, they almost always have more opinions about their positioning than they think they have. And when I describe positioning, a lot of folk hear, oh, I need to tackle a particular industry and specialize in that industry. But what I'm really wanting to communicate is there are other shapes that formulate you as a designer that are different from that of other designers. For example, you just said you're industry agnostic. That's one of the things that we can play with in your positioning. So if we go
Mm.
to, it's here somewhere, domain expert versus industry agnostic. So we are stating that in this case, you're industry agnostic, which has trade-offs, right? So if you're industry agnostic, your skills can transfer anywhere and you can reposition yourself in other industries quickly. But the cons is you have less edge where like domain knowledge really is a key place, like industries like healthcare. And for the folks on the chat who are still struggling with their positioning, there are other really awesome sliders here that this utility is forcing you to choose. So whether you want to be a specialist or a generalist, an individual contributor versus that of like team leadership, on a design team versus on a product team, I love that conversation. And beneath each of these sliders describes like the advantages and sacrifices with either of those decisions. Yash, I should go back and mention that if you have the desire to fill this out, it'll ask you some key questions and force you to make some decisions, and then it'll generate a positioning kit of which included is a value prop. And ideally, we could take that value prop back to your homepage, and then it may not be perfect, but it'll be a correct direction for you to go on how to position yourself. How are you feeling about all of that?
Mm. Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. I didn't know about that tool before. I'm gonna definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, we just made it like a month ago, something like that. Feel free to provide feedback because I don't know. I don't want to say it's still in beta, but it's been fairly well tested at this point. But if you have ideas for improvement, happy to talk about them. The real crux of what I think that utility enables you to do is validate some questions that you probably didn't realize are opinionated, and then we can position yourself around that. Like if we go back to that utility, a lot of these most of these have nothing to do with the industry. So like we could position you as a strategic, scrappy startup, B2C consumer facing product
Mm.
designer. and still not even talk about industry, and yet we're still targeting a niche for you to tackle. So positioning goes beyond that of just industry, which is really helpful. Okay, moving on. That's positioning in a nutshell. I also wanted to talk about value prop. I think we've covered that. The goal here would to then be to write a value prop that describes who you are, what you do, who is your target audience, and then ideally what benefit you'd provide that target audience. Now, let me back up
Mhm.
for a second. Let's say we figure out a good position for you. Do you have any fears about being like inside that bucket and then really niching down? Is that do you have any resistance to that?
Yeah, I mean, it is exactly like you said, if I niche down, then I'm reducing the number of opportunities that I can be open to. So the chances of me, getting a job is lesser. But I think what you're saying resonates with me. I'm definitely being very intentional with the way I'm applying to these positions, and I've I've spent a year researching the hiring market and the role of technology in it, and I just know that it's being like quality over quantity definitely
It's kind
trumps.
of a mess right now,
Yeah,
the hiring
it
market.
is.
Let me show you a
Yeah.
trick. So the typical resistance to that of niching down is like, well, I don't like, I'm just choosing a position to test the theory of getting a job faster, and I may not even like that particular niche. So, like, is there a way I've now put myself in a bucket? Is there a way I can also put myself in other buckets and not be hypocritical to like the philosophy of niching down? So now I want to show you a little trick. I'm going to showcase my own website here, just to showcase how this functions. Here's my own website. My value prop is real niche down. Enterprise healthcare agile design. 15 years product design, leading $40 million agile teams and consulting across distributed product teams. Enterprise healthcare agile distributed product teams. Like, talk about a niche, right? So when those jobs become available, I'm a healthy target for those jobs, but far fewer of those jobs become available. So if I'm applying for a healthcare job, this is the portfolio that I utilize to apply for that job. Now, note the word healthcare here in the value prop. If I load up and natebauer.io, it's going to load the exact same website, but it's got some intelligence built in to accommodate the vocabulary. So healthcare terminology is now gone, and it's now targeting, in this case, a more generalistic portfolio. The idea there being, if
Mhm.
I apply for a job that's not in healthcare space, I link to this portfolio instead. And I shouldn't say this portfolio because it's literally the same website. There's just some intelligence built in that states from different .coms will showcase this other terminology. And if you're using Claude Code to build your website, which sounds like you are, is that right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
entirely.
Yeah, you've totally got the capability to do that. Claude will totally assist with building that in there for you. So the answer then being, if niching down to one particular bucket is scary, let's buy a couple other .coms and enable those to position you as other industry specialized product designers. How are you feeling about that? Is that strategy, is that
Yeah,
applicable for you?
that makes total sense, really. That's a great idea. I have one quick question. On the second portfolio, you said that there's intelligence to tailor the language, but do you also filter the amount of the kind of case studies that you're showing there?
Excellent question. God, what a great leading question. My portfolio has 3 case studies. Therefore, I don't have the affordability of filtration
Mhm.
versus .com. If I had more, I would. In your case, you've got like what, 7 here, something like that. So
Yep.
if a hiring manager is looking at your website and their goal is to take a look at your case study, they'll typically prioritize which case study they'll look at. Typically starts with the priority of, well, let me look at a case study that's familiar to my industry. And then if you don't have one of those available, they'll default to the first case study, usually. So if you want to specialize, like build that intelligence into the .com, we would then want to filter for which case studies are most prominent to that target audience. So if you had healthcare.com, we'd want to showcase healthcare case studies instead. And it sounds like you're already familiar with this because you're asking the
Mm,
question, therefore you've got the mindset.
got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would filter if you're able. And it looks like you've got some capability here with all these case studies.
Yep. Yep. Um, sorry, do you have any other feedback? or else I have just two more questions to ask you.
Yeah, feedback in general, I think you're like there are certainly nuances here we could talk about. I don't typically talk about UI because I think it dives into subjectivity real fast. If I were to dive into a
Mm,
case study, I think you're also doing a lot of stuff here really well. Your titles are storytelling oriented, which is great. Are you leaning with an impact section? You've got housekeeping, which is awesome for recruiters. The problem statement, one control panel across HP printer lineup. Like maybe low hanging fruit is display whatever the problem statement is very explicitly and simply.
mm,
And the hurdle there is the first thing I want to figure out in your case study is what's the problem you're trying to solve. Because everything after that, as I scroll through your case study, everything I'm looking at, I'm tying back into, okay, how is this assisting in solving that problem? So it's like the problem is just so fundamental and paramount. It's the first thing I'm looking for. And if I miss it, the rest of the case study is abstract. So like if one misses it, it's a real consequence. Beyond that, like everything here looks great. You've got a lot of visual aspects here, which is awesome because nobody reads your entire case study. They mostly skim it and then stop at specific sections, but then skim. Validating the build on hardware. Do you have metrics to validate impact anywhere?
yes, yes, yes. They're all the way in the bottom.
Okay. And then if these are your impact metrics, and I think I did see you tease these at the top. Yeah,
Mm,
love the fact that you're teasing these. Would love to see like an impact section here at the top that just very quickly like if the top of your case study were a one pager, I'd want to see very quickly what's the like context, what's the problem, what's the impact in your solution to the thing. And that way a recruiter who's not skimming through the entire thing, like all they need is that top section and they'll know what's up.
got it. Do you have
Beyond
any
that,
opinions?
oh go ahead.
Um, Sorry, just one quick question. Do you have on any opinions on like having the amount of content you show in a case study? Because I've also heard from the industry that, after a certain level of experience, you would not want to, it's better to not show everything on the website and rather just make like a showcase, instead of a case study with all of your details. Um,
Say that again. Were you asking about the length of case studies or like the amount of content on the website in general?
the amount of content that goes into each case study, I know I've seen some websites where designers with 5+ years experience have essentially have just maybe like one paragraph of the problem, the solution, and the impact, and then just these sort of rows of visuals. And it acts more as a showcase, as a teaser to the entire project,
Mm,
as compared to something like this, where you go deep into your process and what was achieved and how you achieved it.
yeah. So I'm a big fan of lengthy case studies. The their advantages and sacrifices. The sacrifice with a long case study is they potentially won't review everything. In fact, it's almost guaranteed they won't review everything. But the major advantage is that there is there is absolutely no risk of showcasing too little information. So, for example, that senior level or that 5+ year experience case study you were describing of showcasing what's the problem, what's the solution, and what's the impact. That case study is missing the entire process section, which is the only reason hiring managers are trying to hire you for. I as I interview folk, I do not care what your solution looks like. And some companies will, but if you're looking for a senior product design role, I'm going to assume you know how to do UI. I'm going to assume you know how to do some of these general fundamental things. Now my plan is I want to validate that you've got senior level thinking, like the ability to correlate with stakeholders, the ability to lead and facilitate a product team, the ability to validate outcomes and impact that what you've done actually does in fact solve the problem. I deeply care about your process and don't care about the output at all. Is that answering your question?
Oh, yes, 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 that helps a lot. Thank
Cool.
you.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to write too much. As a consumer, if it's too long, I'll just skim through it. If I get bored, I'll move on to the next one. But that's the right sacrifice versus like writing too little and then I disregard you because I can't validate you as a candidate. So feel free to dive into lengthier case studies.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, how you feeling? You feel like you've got a couple of takeaways and some actionability?
Yes, absolutely. This was so helpful. Thank you so much. I'm definitely gonna uh, try out the tool that you've just shared and built. Um, and also, I really like the idea of having like a niche down portfolio and a generalist portfolio as well.
Yeah, and
Um,
I would even recommend, like, I've got a generalist one because I'm lazy. If you are wanting, like, if you're applying for jobs right now, so I've got the affordability to be lazy. If you're applying for jobs right now and you need to get that job, consider like getting 5.coms and then building each
mm,
one as a niche, as opposed to just having like a generic one that defaults to everything. So feel free to niche down as effectively as possible for each individual.com.
got it. Cool.
Cool. Yash, appreciate you being willing to hop on here with me, especially being the first person. Appreciate the bravery.
No, thank you so much.
Next on the list, we've got Samiksha Jain. If you're, oh, thank you so much for putting your hand up. Samiksha Jain, welcome to Feedback Friday. How are you? You are currently muted if you're talking.
You can hear me, right?
Sure can. Hello, welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hi, Nate. Like I'm like willing to speak on the like Feedback Friday from last so many times, but finally got time today.
I'm so sorry. Have we just not been able to cross paths in the past?
No, actually, like I try to come on time, but like somehow there are always a lot more people before me to get on the stage and me not getting a chance. So like this time I'm like, I will get it.
Well, welcome. I'm glad to hear you're able to hop on today. How do I pronounce your name?
It's Samiksha.
Samiksha. Am I in the ballpark?
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. Give me a little bit of context about who you are and what's the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah, so I'm a product like so my journey is like I was a fashion slash graphic designer. Like I did my bachelor's in design and then I transitioned to a product design role by a self-learn course. And then when I was back in India, I was working with a startup. Like it was a seed startup. I was able to work with them with the till the Series B. And then I thought of pursued my master's in US, and I graduated in May 2026. So like total, like I have like around 7 years of experience, which is a split between like 3 years of product and like 4 years of graphic and textiles, mostly fashion industry. So currently, like I graduated in May 2026. I'm looking for like new roles and the job, especially in the product design role, because when I was working in startup, one thing that I realized is I want to be the part of the strategy more than just the UI and UI part of it.
Hmm.
Like I find myself more comfortable when I'm actually deciding what to do for the product and not just like uh, getting a PRD from a PM and just doing it. Like I was more hands-on with the PM and the engineering team and like working with engineer to just cut down and directly do it on the development side of it and maybe like use design less and just like push it right now faster for the business goals. So I was able to do that. But right now the thing was that when I was in the startup, there's no like set of rules that were followed. The research and like a lot of time it was very short span of project. So like I was not able to get like enough data points from them to put it in my portfolio for the last thing. So like right now I'm looking for a role as a product designer. So like I'm trying to build my case studies and get into the market. So like I am still figuring out how to do my positioning better. Definitely, I will be trying the tool that you have built, that you explained to Yash. But like, I would love to get a overall feedback. How does my profile looks like, and how are the case studies good enough showcasing my work?
Got it. Okay, cool. You've provided a lot of insight there. Now, you moved from India to the US. Do you have any visa
Yeah,
constraints?
yeah, I have that. Right now, like I'm on a F1 visa. I can work as a freelancer for a year, but I can extend it for like I can get an OPT STEM visa for 2 more years. So like I have like 3 years of valid visa in US,
Three
and
years
then
more.
H1B lottery.
Is that 3 years total or like 3 more years today?
3 more years today, and then
Okay.
like if I get a sponsor, a company who is sponsoring my visa, then I can like get into a H1B lottery and all that thing.
Yeah. How is the current political administration treating your visa sponsorship? I imagine there's additional friction there, yeah?
Yeah, so I think I was like right now I'm seeing a lot of rules have changed for the upcoming students from India. But as I already am in US, my entire visa situation is better than the currently students who are incoming right now for the
Okay. Silver lining.
yeah. Yeah.
Got it. So visa constraint, the reason I'm asking about it is if one requires visa sponsorship, they're typically expensive in nature. You probably have more wisdom here than I do. Now, there are a couple different kinds of visas, and this is like a rabbit hole of complexity that I won't pretend to have much knowledge on. Do you have the visa that costs 100,000 bucks to sponsor, or do you have the
No,
visa
no,
that
no,
costs
no.
like 10,000 bucks to sponsor?
It's just 10,000. Not exactly, not even 10,000. Like it is costing less right now. Like I'm not in the 100K category.
Got it. And I think the differentiator there is that you're already in the States, whereas
Yeah,
incoming
correct.
folk are the more expensive one. Is that sounding
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Got it.
correct.
Okay, cool. That alleviates some friction point because I'm fearful like if the goal was at 100K visa, we'd want to specifically and only target enterprise environments. But I'm hearing that constraint is somewhat gone, though startups still might be questionable. Is that where your mindset is at?
Yeah, that is true.
Okay, cool. Interesting. 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 All right. Uh, you mentioned that you were targeting a product design role. By the way, congratulations on graduating. What a huge achievement that is.
Thank you so much. Yes, it is. But I think the reality stuck harder because like the job market is too bad and like what to do after that is like more overwhelming.
Sure, the job markets, it's certainly something right now. The Describe to me the elevation of product design role that you're targeting. Entry level, junior, mid, anything like that?
So right now I am open to even junior level as well. So thing is like what I am seeing the market is that most of them want a like someone who already have a US experience, which is somewhere lacking on my portfolio. But it is also, if my portfolio is exceptional, I could get into senior role as well. So I am like, right now I'm applying for both the roles, the junior roles and the senior roles. But things are not working in my favor right now.
Understood. Yeah, the market is currently prioritizing that of senior level candidacy. And,
Yeah.
when you don't have the ability, if there are no junior roles available, you're then forced to apply for those senior level roles. Nothing against that, right? So, do whatever you need to do. Okay, cool. So understood. Let's. Was there a particular friction point you think your website is providing that you were trying to solve, or were you just looking for a general overview of things?
I'm looking for general overview and also like, do you feel that are the case studies good enough to give you the holistic view about a person, or is
Got
it
it.
lacking something which I can fix and add more?
Okay, cool. Let's do that then. We'll dive into a case study real fast. Did you? It sounds like you heard my conversation with Yash in regard to the value prop at the top. Any questions
Yeah.
about like any challenges with adding a value prop to the top of your website?
So I have a different thought because like I am also like Yash, I'm also thinking of right now as a more generalist because like I love getting into the product strategy part of it. So I can switch to any domain and use the knowledge of product strategy in any of the company. I don't want to position myself as like just the healthcare or any of the like particular domain, but like my last experience was mostly like fintech company
Mm-hmm.
and like more like real estate fintech industry, and like I was able to work on more internal tools than the customer facing tool.
Okay. Now, you've been to these Feedback Fridays before. Have you heard me
Yeah.
discuss the nuances between centralized and decentralized team environments?
No, I think I didn't listen that part.
Cool. Let's cover that real fast. And I promise you, this is going to circle back to some of your requirements. It's going to sound abstract first.
Yeah.
So I've got a document here. These are mental models that assist with me explaining nuanced topics, and there's one in particular I'm looking for. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because you have visa requirements, visa sponsorship requirements, though lesser than that of other folk. But also, when you say the word generalist, I'm fearful that we don't have alignment on what our definitions of generalist are. And if I were to provide my perception, a generalist is a person with a generalistic skill set and not
Okay.
necessarily a generalist industry. And right now, in current economic times where there is a high supply of designers and a low supply of jobs available, those with generalist skill sets but specific industries with which they specialize have the greatest advantage. So I'm actually a big proponent of generalizing. I display myself as a generalist, though industry specific. And I think that's the right strategic call for you. Is that where your mind is at? Is all of that sounding okay with where you're wanting to position yourself
Yeah,
as?
yeah, that's exactly where I'm thinking of positioning.
Cool. Now, this has a consequence. Let's look at a centralized UX team here for a moment. And know that I want to tell you about two different team formations, but these are the two extremes of the graph, and there are hybrid models between these two. But these two extremes also happen to be by far the more popular two. So this is a centralized UX team. And let's say you go to work at an organization and they say, hello, welcome to Tuesday of work. I'm going to assign you ticket 1 and ticket 2. When you're done with that, pass it off to the dev team, and then I'll assign you more tickets to work on. So this is you here as
Okay.
that yellow UX designer. You've got a UX manager, and they just provide
Yeah.
effort for you to work on. Now, in this environment, there are advantages and sacrifices with every team formation. The big thing for you to note is that in this environment, you are working immediately and directly with other designers. Like you are on a design team. And
Yeah.
uh, that's the end of that sentence. There are some consequences with this. And the consequences are typically more that of like fulfillment wise, you can feel like a cog in the machine very quickly. You feel like a
Mm.
button pusher. You also don't get a lot of exposure to the other generalist skills that I am wanting to describe in generalization. So like, for example, discovery at the very front, you don't really do much of that because you're just provided tickets and effort to do. You become an output
Yeah.
machine very quickly. And then like the impact and the outcomes, you build something, you pass it off, but then you never get to see it in its like future state. So
Yeah.
that's a centralized UX team in a nutshell. And we typically find centralized teams in smaller scale environments. So think like companies, 2,000 folks or less, who don't have like full scale design infrastructure just yet. Those folk typically are more centralized UX teams. Now, the reason I'm describing this is because if your goal was to target those smaller organizations, they prefer specialization. So the quandary is, if you're working on a design team and you've got Stacy over there who's really good at accessibility, and then you've got Joe who's really good at design systems. So like what specialty do you provide that if we were to add you to the full team, our team now excels a little bit, our team now grows because your additional skill set is brought on. So in
Okay.
these particular team environments, they actually prefer specialization in some fashion. How is all
Mm.
that sounding so far? Is that making sense?
Yeah, it is making sense. I think I'm not exactly in this category.
I would agree. So where I'm going with this is I would position your mindset more of a decentralized UX team, which then
Yeah.
also means, and for the folks in the chat unfamiliar, these are individual product teams. So this is her here as a UX designer. She instead of working on a design team is now working on a product team, and the team now consists of product managers, developers. This has other roles: product owners, business analysts. With your story from earlier where you're describing you worked at a startup and you worked with those other stakeholders, this I imagine is more reminiscent to your
Yes,
previous.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. This is a real healthy team environment as well. I prefer these environments, but the moral there being in these environments, a generalist typically thrives because there's only one designer on a product, and that product has to get shipped either way, right? So you have to do all of the stuff to some level of mediocrity. And it's better to be mediocre at all of the generalistic stuff than it is to be excellent at one particular thing, because at the end of the day, the product still has to get shipped. And this sounds like it's more up your alley in regard to like your positioning. And is that sounding right?
Yeah, correct. Like I'm more in the sense of like I like to see that what I'm designing to get it shipped, and also like we see the like A/B testing of it and how it is performed and what can be done better to like rework on it. So yeah, I am definitely in this category.
Dope. All right, cool. Let's circle back to your portfolio then, because with that in mind, there are different nuances I'm looking for in case studies to position you for either of those formations. So now that we know you're targeting decentralized team formations, I want to target more corporate enterprise environments. Excuse me. I want to target corporate enterprise environments. I also want to include in your case studies more leadership oriented things. So, for example, it's less about the output that you're providing and more about here's the process that you utilized, here's how I manage stakeholders, here's how I facilitated that product team to move forward, that sort of stuff. So, it's more on like
Okay.
high level leadership strategy acumen, less on output oriented acumen.
Yeah.
Any particular case study you want me to look at? Otherwise, I'm going to
Yeah,
default
maybe
to
the
the
first one.
first one. Perfect. All right, conversational support system, intelligent ticketing support system designed to streamline organizational workflows. Housekeeping, impact, problem, and constraints. I'm seeing a lot of mindset here that I'm appreciating. Design decisions, bringing internal, external communication to a single view. So now we're diving right into solutioning, which is quick. That's real abrupt. All right, cool. So lots of area for opportunity here. Let's do a couple of things. Well, let's see. Normally, I recommend something like Notebook LM at this stage, but I don't think Notebook LM will have enough information to chew on. Okay, so let's say that there are a couple of key sections or key questions I'm looking for to get answered in your case study. So one
Okay.
is, what's the problem you're trying to solve? Two is, how did you solve that problem? And three is, how did you validate success that the problem was in fact solved? Now, because you're targeting decentralized teams, I heavily want to see your process. And similar to Yash, the previous one, I don't care as much about the output here. The order of information is also slightly askew. Let's come back to that. So the problem and constraints. This section is the entire thing I'm like most interested in reading about. What's the problem you're
Yeah.
trying to solve, and then like what was your process to solving that problem? Tell me about this case study a bit. Do you have the ability to expand these sections and dive into more depth?
Yeah, I can do that. So basically, this entire project was like the entire internal team and how we were interacting with the customers was just on the emails and the phone call. So me and my team, basically product manager and me, we basically like structured the entire how the communication should happen. So instead of like having like an external support ticketing system in it, we build our own support ticketing system because like we think of scaling the company and not just like using any external product right away. So in this, there were a lot of different teams involved. So we had to manage the SLAs, how the customer view would be, how the entire like the timeline for each response should be. So like I had a multiple team meetings with different team stakeholders to align how they are looking forward to engage with each support ticketing system. We also used like an automated system where if there were like eight touch points if any ticket is raised. So instead of that, we made it automated that if the ticketing system is regarding the IT related issue, it goes directly to the IT. And if there is anyone who is on leave, who should be taking over the entire conversation of it. So there were different workflows that were included in the entire process of it.
Yeah, so you've got a story there. You've got a lot of interesting content there. I would love to be able to forecast and read more about that in this case study section. The design decisions here, these are solutions to things, which are very cool, but you're targeting a product design role, and product design roles are focused more on business strategy. I would love to see that story you just described. I would love to see that showcased here and how those decisions influenced what your output ends up looking like. How are you feeling? You feel like you can go back in there and add all of that verbiage?
So the thing is, like, what I feel, so I can communicate all that when I'm talking to someone, but like how to showcase that entire workflow in a case study is something that I'm struggling with right now.
Totally understood. Let me show you Carolyn's uh, case study here. I'll add a link to the chat. The reason why I like to showcase Carolyn's website, but also specifically case studies, is if I were to list out what are the top 10 things you need to do on your portfolio and case studies, Carolyn has done exactly those 10 things and nothing else. Like there's no extra stuff on this case study. So like I like to use it as a good barometer for this is what we define success as, and then anything additional you want to do, you totally can, but not necessary. So if I were in your shoes, the first thing I would do is take a look at like something like this case study, and it showcases what information I'm looking for, the order in which I'm looking for it, and then like how one goes about telling the story. And something you'll notice here is that this case study, it's fairly textually heavy, and that's okay. I ideally we could I would love to lean more on visual stuff here as well, but know that because you're targeting product design enterprise roles, this process stuff is really important and really impactful. And I would lean more toward that process than any sort of output that you have in mind.
Mhm.
Use this as a good barometer. And then once you've written your first draft of your case study, would love to be able to chat again and would love to be able to like review what the next stage of your case study looks like.
Okay, sure. I will do it.
How are you feeling? Like I don't want to say like, hey, your case study, just do this instead. We'll chat later. That's not really my goal. The quandary is your case study has so little content that there's not a whole lot to challenge just yet. Are you feeling okay if I just say like, hey, take a look at that case study, follow some of the order of operations there, and then let's chat again in the future? Is that okay?
Yeah, that perfectly works. Like because like I am like I have taken like a lot of feedback from other people also, and I have got a few of the similar feedback that the case study is too little to even decide who you are exactly. So I think yeah, that aligns well, and I will be working on that. And thanks for sharing the Carolyn portfolio.
Yeah, fantastic. Samiksha, pleasure talking with you. Really appreciate you being willing to hop on here and have a chat.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nat.
Next on the list, we've got Parmeet. Parmeet, if you're out there, put your hand up. Oh, thank you. Look at that. So attentive. Invite to speak. And then after that, Fran, you are on deck in about, look at that. My estimation was probably right on par. So, like somewhere in 25 minutes from now, 20 minutes. Parmeet, hello, welcome.
Hi Nate, what's up?
I'm doing well, man. Having a weird morning before this whole thing started, but life is good, you know? Tell me a little bit about you and what sort of problems you're trying to solve.
So actually, I have been a graphic designer and video editor for like 10 years of my career, but I've done my bachelor's in computer application. So you see, I've recently transitioned my career into this product designer and I've completed an internship where I, to be very honest, learned nothing. I was not given any proper task, anything, uh, like some fake promises and all. But okay, let's not talk about that. The problem is, I am not aware about myself in the industry. I can design well. I have learned about designing and product solving from courses and all on my portfolios that is visible. I believe I'm at a stage where I understand what I'm doing, but I'm not sure how will I fit in industry with all of that. You can call me a fresher what I'm doing with. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm kind of confused with my positioning as I've seen for both of them about how should I approach and what should be my improvements overall.
Got it. I missed a couple of notes there at the beginning. Did you mention that you had a graphic design background?
Yes, I had a graphic design background
What
for 8 years.
that but there was there something else that I also didn't write down?
Yes, video editing as well.
Video editing. Interesting. Okay, cool. Graphic design for 7 years, right on. Don't know where you currently fit within the industry, and you're working on positioning. Now, if I've got my links here correctly, you're sharing a resume. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Cool. I haven't opened it yet, or rather, I'm not displaying it to the world just yet. Are you comfortable if I show that resume to, and we're recording on YouTube, are you comfortable showing that to the rest of the internet?
Sure.
Perfect. All right, cool. Pardon me. Oh, yeah, look at that. You've already censored stuff. Fantastic.
Yep, I've been waiting for this day. Actually, I've been coming to your sessions all Friday, but as a same with the Samiksha thing, I used to come late, so my chances were not that good.
I understand. Same quandary with Fran here, who is coming in right after you.
Yeah.
No, cool. Okay, cool. So summary, experience, education projects, certs, skills, language. Fantastic. Now I want to cover. We can certainly talk more in depth about your resume here. There's a broader conversation here, and that's like you don't know where you fit within the industry. Tell me more about that. Like, as in, are you unsure if graphic design is your future? Are you thinking about pivoting? Anything like that?
No, actually, I'm very confident that I want to make my career in product designing. The thing is, in product designing, you see, I have experience in graphic designing and all, right? But I've shifted myself into a new path. So I'm confused about how I'm supposed to position myself. As an intern, I've completed my internship and I also have proficiency in using Figma for around 2 years. It was my graphic designing tool as well. So I'm just not sure about how I'm supposed to approach this new field. Maybe some rookie mistakes that I'm making that is getting me rejected from the job interviews and all.
Okay.
Because the sorry yeah the feedback that I get from interviewers are that they like my talking skill and everything. They are okay with conversation skill, they like visual and everything, but they are just like not getting that hinge. Yes, this is the guy. I don't know why, what's going on with their mind. Maybe I'm not following a niche or something.
Okay. I've got a speculation. We'll talk about that here in a second. But I'm hearing that you're targeting product design. Now, but that's okay. That's cool. That's fascinating. Um, let's talk about it now. So, one of the quandaries I have is the industry of product design and the industry of design in general. We don't have universal definitions for what these terms mean. And the quandary is a UX design position at company A could be identical to product design position at company B, and we haven't like figured out where to draw the lines just yet. So something I've been working on is a. Do I have it ready? Let's see. Let's do a titles. Something I've been working on is a mental model that attempts to diagnose what are the differences between these titles, and if your goal is to target one of them, what are the nuances for how we should position you to best meet the expectations of that title. Now, I'm a huge proponent of these calls to staying with objective reasoning. I don't like diving into subjectivity, but I should preface that everything I'm about to show you is my opinion and perception on how the market is moving and how it's currently defining things, and you should take it as opinion. Is that okay with you?
Yes, sure. I'm okay with any type of criticism or anything you want to share. Actually, Nate.
Got it. Excellent. And I will always warn you if we're diving into like hot takes or things that aren't based on objective theory. So this is a graph, and this is attempting to disclose what are the nuances and differences between these job titles. Now, at the left side of this graph, we've got tactical, and on the right side, we've got strategic. You're describing that you're targeting a product design role, which delves pretty heavily into the strategy portion of these job titles. So, UI designer, heavily into interfaces, also heavily tactical. If we were to elevate from there, we dive into user problems. So UX designer is solving user problems. Who's the target audience? What are they trying to solve? But then if we elevate further, it's diving into business problems. What are the business goals? What are the constraints of this particular business? How do we break them down into smaller pieces? It's more business strategy and less on user problems, and certainly less still on UI. Now, if we go down to these tabs at the bottom, we can select product designer, and this will showcase like, hey, what's a hiring manager looking for if your goal here is to position around that particular title? I'll add a link to the chat for anybody to take a look at that. I'm still working on it. Know that it's in flux, blah, blah, blah. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is if we align our definitions that product designer is closer to that of business strategy, then circling back to your resume, I'm fearful that some of the vocabulary I'm about to see is dedicated to outputs of some kind and not like stakeholder management, business facilitation, anything like that. Before I look at the resume, how are you feeling about that feedback so far? Are you feeling like maybe the resume is potentially weaker in that business acumen side of things?
Yep, I definitely feel that is where I'm lacking. And honestly, you have explained product design in very simple way that I've never seen before. So yeah, that's really a good POV.
Appreciate the kind words there. But again, and I can't emphasize this enough, even though I have this understanding or this perception of what product design is, that doesn't mean the industry does. So, like, still apply for UX design roles because those job descriptions could be, you could swap them and not
Yes.
see any difference, right? And then the other quandary there is when you like, let's say you get an interview with a hiring manager, they'll have a different perception of what product design title means than I do. So like, keep in mind that I think this is the right call. I think this is where the industry is headed, and I think this delineates the differences heavily. I've also got some hot takes that I haven't talked about, but keep in mind your hiring manager will have different perceptions than I do. Okay, let's look at the resume here. Tell me about, so you're showcasing a resume, which is interesting, and that tells me that you are currently applying for jobs and you're not getting interviews. Is that sounding right?
Actually, the problem is I do get interviews, but as I mentioned, they are mostly about they like my portfolio, they like my designing thing and all, but it's mostly they don't pay good, or either they do not understand what I'm looking for. Like they want to exploit me just because I'm a fresher, that type of situations. So that's what I'm facing currently in my last, you can see Tilby Technologies experience. Even in that company, I was heavily exploited for my craft of graphic designing, not UI UX design or product designing.
Okay. I'm going to I'm going to ignore the exploitation there for a moment. I have no doubt you're telling the truth. I just don't have enough info to like validate or like question what exploitation
Makes
looks like.
sense.
The where my mind is going is I certainly see a perception that your resume is dedicated more toward output, like UI effort. And you're describing it here. So like product designer, but then you're describing UI UX, and I would argue that these are three different titles. But then if I read your bullets here, I'm seeing like 3 product modules from concept to prototype. That's a UI oriented skill. Developed user flows and UIs for design screens. Like I'm seeing a lot of output stuff here. So then if the hurdle was, I think my perception is that the hurdle is people are perceiving you as more graphic and UI oriented because your resume is accidentally positioning you closer to that of a more tactical level. Is that, how are you feeling about that? Is that in alignment with where you're currently thinking?
Yes, actually, now that
Okay.
you have mentioned it, it makes more sense.
Okay. So let's talk about this. Well, let me showcase one thing real fast here because you're describing you don't know where you fit in the industry, and it sounds like you know a little bit more than I originally thought. I want to toss a particular graphic in the chat for you and for the folks in the chat as well. This is a graphic from the book. Oh gosh, what was the book called? Org Design for Design Orgs. It's one of those O'Reilly design books. And this is written by a guy named Peter Merholz, and he's describing what he thinks. So this is his perception. This is where he thinks the individual levels of these job titles are. So, for example, you can see the title row here. So, like junior product designer, and then the achievements of a junior product designer are right out of school, and the scope is to solve specific function level problems. Blah blah blah. And the objective here is to enable you to look at this graph, and then hopefully dictate like, well, where do I align myself on this graph? Do I have like some level 2s in this category, some level 1s in that category? And then like hopefully that'll give you a barometer for like where in the scale of things you fit. Hopefully, I don't know if that was a problem you were trying to solve, but it felt like that was the case. Is that okay that I shared that with you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. Um, And then the other thing I want to talk about is bullet point formatting. Now, your resume, typically I look at a bunch of high level stuff as well. Like I haven't talked about the summary. I haven't talked about the order of stuff here, though your ordering looks perfectly fine. I think for you, because the problem you're describing here is like people are perceiving you differently. I think for you, the main problem that we should talk about is the vocabulary we're using. And I'd like you to try a different format of writing bullets. And the idea is, let's write a bullet that describes the what, the how, and then the why. And let me walk you through what this means. So design, web, and mobile experience. Well, actually, you've been here at a Feedback Fridays before. Have you already heard this? Is this redundant to your knowledge?
No, actually, what, how, why? This is first time me hearing this.
Perfect. All right, cool. So let's take this first bullet. Design web and mobile experiences across 3 product modules from concept to prototype. So let's see. Design web and mobile experiences across 3 product modules. That is what you did. And then from concept to prototype, that's like dabbling in how you did it, but it's still kind of on the what you did portion. And we're missing these 2 other keys. So I'm going to make something up here, and I'm going to showcase how I think this bullet could be bettered, but it's going to be like made up stuff, right? So let's see. Design web and mobile experiences across 3+ product modules from concept to prototype. Now I want to talk about the how. By utilizing agile practices across multiple product teams. And now we want to chat about the why, assisting in an increase in conversion by 20%. Blah, blah, blah. Not conversation, conversion. So now the bullet reads, design web and mobile experiences across 3+ product modules from concept to prototype by utilizing agile practices across multiple product teams, assisting an increase in conversion by 20%. So we've done a couple of things here. This is already a dramatically stronger bullet in the sense that we've got a lot more keywords dedicated to ATSs, so you're not going to get filtered out as frequently. But more importantly, the why is so dramatically important here. So there's no company on earth that's interested in hiring you for designing web and mobile experiences. That's like the product that you are able to provide, but they are absolutely going to hire you to increase conversion by 20%. And you're hiding the reason, you're hiding the benefit of hiring you behind the what's. The resume, as far as I can tell, doesn't provide any sort of like education on how, like what the benefit to the company is in hiring you. I think if there's one takeaway for the resume, it would be that. How are you feeling about that feedback so far?
Yes, actually, I thought I might have mentioned this, but now I'm seeing the resume in front of me. I feel like I lagged there a lot.
Sometimes all it takes is a second eye. Isn't there something about like therapy is really just hearing yourself say it? That's usually all it takes.
Yeah.
I think this is going to take you a long way. So the reason I like to talk about the what, how, why approach is it forces you to go through each of your bullets and try to narrow down like what are the what's, what are the hows, what are the whys, most importantly the whys. There's a part 2 to this, and that is if no one's going to hire you for the what, but everyone's going to hire you for the why, then the why is really the most important thing, and we'd want to lead with the why. So after you go through your bullets and follow a what, how, why approach, swap the order of information and instead go for a why, how, what approach. And the reason I like to encourage the what, how, why approach first is because it's way easier to think about like the things you've accomplished than it is to like talk about the outcomes that are like more abstract and business oriented. But now let's take the bullet we just wrote and let's swap the order of information. So in this case, assisted in an increase in conversion by 20% by utilizing agile practices across multiple product teams. And then this does not flow as cleanly. Assisting in an increase in conversion by 20% by utilizing agile practices across multiple product teams, comma, or through web and mobile experiences, through designing web and mobile experiences across 3+ product modules from concept to prototype. Better. Needs a little bit of tweaking, but I'm hoping it at least communicates the idea there. And the benefit now is every single one of your bullets is now leading with the benefit, the core reason why they want to hire you. It's the first thing they read on each of your bullets, and that's so impactful. Those are a lot of words. How are you feeling about all of that? Do you feel like you've got some actionability of going back to this resume and then potentially adjusting your positioning to focus more on, or like less on UI output and more on business strategy, and then B, writing those bullets to accommodate that business strategy and then reposition them for benefits first? How are you feeling about that?
I've definitely got some great insights here actually from you, I would say. I was planning to improve my resume from long. I've tried AI and all, but you see, a person who have worked in the industry can teach this better. So you have given some insights that will actually help me improve the resume. I can already see where it is lacking after you get telling me like, yeah, these are the changes that could help me improve it. So thank
Fantastic.
you.
Yeah, really appreciate the kind words. There are other things that we don't have time to talk about on your resume today. Like there are silly nuanced things like shortening months. Some ATSs will scoff at that. But like overall, I think you're doing a lot of things here really well. I want to show one other thing real fast. I don't think this is a friction point for you because it sounds like you're getting interviews. But for folks in the chat who are wanting to challenge their resume strategies here, there's another utility you can potentially utilize. So you've got links at the top. You've got your email, your, in this case, your portfolio. You could have other links, like your LinkedIn link could be in there as well. But let's say that you want to challenge and validate the success of your resume. So something you can potentially do here is, wait for it. In fact, can I just go to short? Cool. So one of the quandaries I've been trying to figure out how to solve for is, I think there are three places your resume could fail as you're applying for jobs. One is you apply for a position and the ATS automatically filters it out. No human ever sees it. Second failure point, it gets through the ATS, a human opens it, and then they close it, never to open it again. Failure point 2. Number 3 is gets past ATS, somebody opens it, then they go to your portfolio, and then they never make any actionability. There's failure point number 3. And what I'm trying to figure out is how can I measure where in that filtration process failure occurs? Something I've been playing around with is we've got links on resumes, and theoretically the next step to your resume is to look at either your LinkedIn or your portfolio. We can short link those guys. We can build analytics in. So this is something I'm still testing. It needs experimentation, so take this with some challenge. But there are 3 links on my resume, and as I apply for jobs, I can specifically see that, 22 folks have opened my portfolio, only 14 folks have opened my LinkedIn, thus showcasing some of the prioritization there. But like I can start to validate some sort of like impact and validation that, well, in this case, it looks like my resume is getting through the ATS. Humans are clicking on it. Secondly, folks are going to the portfolio, but I haven't had 22 interviews, so the portfolio is failing in some way or it's positioning me poorly. That's the idea. It needs experimentation. If you feel like diving into analytics, I'm using a site called short.io. I'll add a link in the chat, but feel free to give that a shot if you're feeling like it. Parmeet, pleasure talking with you. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you. It was nice having a conversation with you. Next time I'll come up with my portfolio.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. All right, Fran, where you at? Put your hand up. Oh man, I my link in the chat, it doesn't have the H. There we go. Fran, hello, invite to speak.
Hello. Is my
Fran,
mic audible?
you are so
Hi.
audible. How are you?
Okay. Finally.
How are you feeling right now? Do you feel like you're gonna nod off any second?
No, not really. I think I had enough power nap actually.
For those in the chat unfamiliar, Fran, what time is it for you right now?
Oh, it's actually 3:12 a.m. here in the Philippines.
Brutal. That's
Yeah.
wild. Well, describe.
I was really looking forward to this, so that's why.
Evidently. Well, I appreciate you being willing to hop on here. Give us a little bit of context about.
anytime.
Yeah, give some context about who you are and what's the problem you're trying to solve.
Well, my name is Fran. Like last year I just graduated, Bachelor of Design, Visual Communication, and I'm currently having trouble finding a job. And I actually specialize in illustration. So yeah, a little bit to know about me.
Got it. Okay. Tell us about that job that you're trying to find. What kind of role are you applying for?
Well, at this moment, I'm thinking of like general graphic design work, any work that I get landed in, because I'm having trouble really finding a job at the moment. It's just hard for me, you know? So that's why I created a very generalized portfolio, which I don't think is a good idea because I made like tons of skill sets there. So I'm not sure, but I'm happy to be criticized by you. Kidding. Like get critiqued by you.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. So graphic design job in the Philippines, background in illustration. Now, this website is unusual. It's a different format than most portfolios are depicted in. This is like a slideshow website of some kind.
Yes, actually, because since at the last minute that I thought I was going to get picked last week, I managed to like, okay, I'm gonna change it to another website instead of using Behance, because I took Tim's word for it and instantly changed into another website where other clients or other employers would actually get access to it right away. So that's why I used a specific link that could actually get them to access that right away. So yeah.
Heck yeah. Canva is certainly progress from Behance. Weirdly, it's not a huge amount of progress. What was your goal with working with Canva instead of other utilities?
Well, I'm not really, how do I say this? I'm not really that much of an expert of like finding a better domain to like showcase my portfolio. So I just realized
Got
at the
it.
last minute that when I did thought that I was going to like go for like last week, okay, this is my alternative. So that's how I thought of like getting my portfolio. So yeah, instead I just went to Canva instead. But no worries. I didn't make my portfolio in Canva. I did it in Figma.
Okay, well, let's see here. So I should preface with something else, and that is you're looking for graphic design roles, and I do not have any expertise in graphic design. So the everything I'm saying should be taken with a grain of salt, and you should challenge it with other designers.
Yeah.
Are you already on the other sites, the ADP lists and the competitors to those out there? Have you had this challenge with other folk?
I don't think I have.
Okay. Let's see here. So I can do a general review of this, and I can talk from like a hiring
Oh, sure.
manager and recruiter perspective, but I can't really dive in depth of like the target audience, your target audience, and what their intrinsic desires and needs are. So we can do some high level stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so this is now Canva has more capability than a slideshow. What's your desire with showcasing a slideshow here?
I'm sorry.
Canva has more
Come
ability
again.
than showcasing just slideshows. Like you can build a full website in Canva, I think, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you can actually do that. But
Okay.
I'm not sure how to access that yet because I'm really not skillful with making website designs. So yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No apologies necessary. And if there were any space in which you could get away with more slideshow-esque portfolios, graphic design feels like one of them.
Mhm.
I've got a weird graphic here that I don't showcase often, but like for folks in the chat, there are lots of different flavors by which one can create portfolios, and slideshows have a lot of like control associated with them. Here's the graphic.
Yeah.
So like if the goal is in a hiring manager or an interview, if the goal is storytelling here and like building the case for hiring Fran as a graphic designer, like websites are awesome utilities, but like something like a PDF gives you way more control over layout in regard to like it's always going to look like the presentation that you make. It's always going to look like that. Scale difficulties, sure, but
That's
like
right.
PDFs are totally applicable in regard to like full control over describing what you need to do. So, like if you were applying for product design roles, I would scoff more at it. But because you're applying for graphic design roles, this might be a totally applicable alternative to those positions. Do you have more insight
Mhm.
there than I do? Like, are PDF presentations and slideshow presentations, are those better suited for your industry?
So actually, I instead of actually making it into a PDF file, I turned it in. Oh, okay. I put it in Canva because there's like GIFs, just presentation in there that I did. So there's like a showcase of my basic perky animations that you can't really showcase in PDF. So that's why I managed to make Canva as an alternative. So yeah.
Nice. Okay. All right. Well, let's see here. There are a couple of things that hiring managers and recruiters will be looking for quickly. We've talked about the value
Mhm.
prop already several times. Are you looking for any review there on the value prop, or are you okay just saying like, hey, you need a value prop of some kind, let's move on? Do you want to talk more in
Well,
depth there?
yeah, sure.
So the hurdle now is the homepage, so to speak, quote unquote. The homepage here, I love that you're describing a portfolio. The hurdle is it doesn't differentiate you from that of other candidates. So if you are applying
Yeah.
for a graphic design role and 40 other people apply, or in this economy, like 300 other people apply, if not more, the hurdle now is like this is generic enough that there is no positioning you to that of like any sort of differentiation. And we'd be looking to heavily differentiate from other candidates and describe like why you're a better candidate than the other folks, right? So a value prop is going to go a long way for you. How are you feeling about your ability to write a value prop and like what it is and how to go about positioning that? Do you feel like you've got some capability, or is that all a brand new conversation?
Well, I think yeah, but yeah, that would be another conversation. Like in terms of like thinking of another name other than portfolio, is that correct?
Let me show you. So the if I were to pull up, I can go back to Carolyn's maybe. Let's see. Carolyn, I wish I knew how to pronounce her last name because I bring up her website frequently. Let's see.
I think it's Carolyn. Is it? I'm
Well,
not
her
sure.
last name here, Nieberding. Is that how one says it? I don't know. I'm
Oh,
still
I'm not
sharing.
sure about that. Yeah.
You can
That
see my
is
screen
a
still,
bit
right?
confusing. Yeah.
So her value prop here: San Francisco-based product designer with 9+ years experience shaping products and customer journeys across high-growth B2B SaaS and early-stage startups. So her target audience here: high-growth B2B SaaS and early-stage startups. I would still argue that we can get even more niched than that because the rest of this feels more generic, like shaping products and customer journeys. That's what UX design does. That's not describing her, that's describing UX. But like
Yeah.
her mindset here is in the right place. So she's trying to quickly describe, hey, you should hire me, and here's the benefit that your company will receive in hiring me. Here's the value you will receive. And that's what differentiates her from that of other candidates. She specializes in B2B, therefore, she's got a lot of knowledge, and she focuses purely on startups, which means she's got a more generalistic skill set and stakeholder negotiation. And that's
Mhm.
why I'm thinking, going back to your portfolio, which is not that one, this one, I'm looking to better understand. Well, Fran's a graphic designer. That's great, but I work in the healthcare industry, and this other guy Joe, he's a graphic designer that specializes in healthcare. So I'm going to go with Joe. It's like we have to find a way to compete with Joe and then position you with some sort of differentiation from that of other candidates that positions you like that builds the appetite to hire you. Am I putting words together in an okay fashion? Is that making sense?
Yeah. Making sense.
Okay. All right. So one of the things I'd be looking for then is building a value prop on the homepage. But then I'm also thinking about their ability to take their next actionable steps. So typically, like if I wanted to contact you, for example, I don't have a clean method of doing that. Do you have, I imagine it's in there somewhere. Do you have contact info?
Yeah, actually the end, but my like just a few days ago, my friend said that actually I don't know if Ranger is here, but yeah, I Ranger is a graphic designer as well here in Design Buddies, and he gave me an advice that I should make the contacts bigger. Yeah, so that's the thing.
Ma-
It's actually in the end, yeah.
Make the contact bigger. Is that what he said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So where I'm thinking is like contact is super important, but there's other details that are also important, like your ability to showcase. Like I'd love to learn more about you as an individual as well. There are things that recruiters and hiring managers are looking for that aren't easily accessible in a slideshow format. If you were giving like a
Mm-hmm.
presentation in an interview, I think the slideshow's awesome. But the hurdle now is if I wanted to better understand you as a potential candidate, I can't do so easily. And a remedy to that would probably be a formal website of some kind. Do you have any resistance to building a website, or is it just from like an educational perspective of like, I don't know how to do that? How are you feeling?
I mean, I could give it a shot, but just at the moment, because it was really last minute when I did that. So, but I could give it a shot. I actually asked advice from my friend how to make UI UX or how to make websites actually. So I don't think it would be a problem. It would just take like a lot of time for me to do so. But at this moment, oh, I just managed to make it an alternative for now. But I really would love to actually make it as a website rather than just a slideshow because it's kind of generic, as I would say as well. So yeah.
Totally understand. The chat, go ahead and type in there what you think are the right solutions for someone who's never built a website before to be able to build their own website. There are a couple of quick ones that come to mind for me. Like Framer is the obvious choice. The other big conversation is how are you feeling about AI? Is going the AI route, is that applicable to your path, or are you against going the AI path?
Oh, I'm okay with AI, except for of course illustrations doing or rather generating illustrations through AI. But
I'm with you. There are all kinds of
websites, Claude
nuances.
AI,
Yeah.
yeah. Now I'm good with like Claude coding stuff like that. That would be very helpful, especially for people who don't really know much about coding or yeah. So I think that would be better.
Okay, cool. So Framer is an awesome choice. I can tell you that myself and my other co-host Tim, we have both moved off of Framer and dived more deeply into AI. Both of our portfolios are in AI, and I struggle
Okay.
recommending Framer anymore because AI is so approachable. So if you're okay diving down that route, the learning curve for AI is more shallow than I think you probably think it is. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but like you will be sailing quickly if you want to dive into Claude Code, and there's lots of instruction for you out there. And I have no doubt everybody here on Design Buddies, or so many folk, will totally be willing to walk you through it. Anyway, all that to
Yeah.
say, I think the next elevation for you is building a genuine full portfolio, and I think that's going to be the main thing that holds you back for now. And I say all of that knowing that my bias is product design, and I don't have an expertise in graphic design. How is all of that
Oh,
sounding?
no worries. Yeah. Very helpful, very insightful, actually.
Okay. Was it I don't know if I have any other wisdom for you at this stage. Was it worth staying up until 3 a.m.?
Yes, actually, I've been waiting for this moment my entire life.
Dang.
No, I've been waiting for this since like I don't know, like 2 weeks ago. I was like, okay, after I finish my portfolio, I'm gonna get ready to get roasted by Tim or Nate.
No,
So yeah.
no roasts. No roasts. Know that Tim and I also have one-on-ones. Like Tim's got a calendar schedule. I've got an ADP list. You are totally welcome to reach out, and then we can like either of us
Yes,
can
yes, of
walk you through.
course.
Yeah, we can walk you through how to start in the Claude Code journey. And folks in the chat as well, feel free to reach out. I'm also, I don't know if it's the right time to plug this. Design Buddies is building an ADP list competitor called Hop. I'm also on there. I don't think it's launched yet, but keep an eye out for that. I hope I'm not breaking any. I hope that's been announced.
Oh,
That's
is
been
it the
announced, right?
mentor or mentee? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
never mind.
Colleen's on there
I
as well
actually
in the
signed up
chat.
for it as well.
Nice. Okay, cool. So it's not a secret. Yeah, Colleen's on there as well. Colleen can also walk you through Claude Code. Maybe, I don't know. Colleen, can you do Claude Code? She can do Claude Code. Oh, hey, look at that. Capital yes.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. So many folks are totally willing to help you out with that. Fran,
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
love talking with
Oh,
you.
yes.
Appreciate the
Yes,
time.
me too. Likewise. Super. I really enjoyed this as well.
Sounds good. We'll chat again in Discord somewhere along the way. Appreciate
Yes, of
chatting with you.
course. I hop in a lot.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I booted you right when you're in the middle of a sentence. But you know what? It's done, and I'm sticking with it. Next on the list is Faith. Faith, if you're still out there, let's say, oh, Faith, look at that. Invite to speak. Perfect. Faith, I have hit the button. You should have a button on your side to accept the invite. I can invite you to speak again if it's disappeared. Ah, Faith, hello. I see you've unmuted. I'm not hearing anything just yet. Nothing quite yet. Let me look at the chat while we're waiting for Faith to figure out. I'm imagining you're like digging through drawers right now, trying to figure out where your mic is. Shuffling through. Yeah, Gigi, worth getting a website. I agree. And then I see other folks with links in here for reviews. We are booked up for today. We've only got 30 minutes left, but you're welcome to join us again for a future Friday. We do this every Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then, yeah, I'm seeing some stuff in the chat. I accidentally turned on streaming mode, so I can't see some of your usernames, which is a bummer. But I see the letter C, who is describing ethical use of AI is so important. Could not agree more. A lot of nuance there in like what is ethical use of AI. There's a lot of problematic space in the AI world. We'll have to figure it out at some point. Faith, still not hearing anything from you. Any mic check? Any testing? Oh, Faith, I'm so sorry. You've waited for an hour and a half to hop on this call, and I will have to move on to the next one because we can't hear you. Feel free to reach out to me on Discord. We can do a one-on-one if you're desperately trying to get something reviewed. And I'm so sorry to have to boot you and move on to the next one. All right, that was the last person on my list. I got to scroll way up and see who was after Faith. After Faith, we've got Gigi. Gigi, are you still out there? Hey, Gigi, come hang out with me. Gigi, hello. Gigi, I can't hear you either. Oh no. Don't panic, Gigi. Oh, they're on it. It looks like they know what's going on. Nate, is Tim available for a one-on-one? Which platform? I think it's just a generic Calendly link, if that's the way one pronounces that. One has to go to his Discord profile, and then you can book a session with him. And then how to do the one-on-one. I have an ADP list account. It's real limited at the moment for like time-wise. Let's see. What if I do... ADP list, Nate Bauer. Will that get me there? Yeah, there we are. My timing is real limited at the moment, and I'm so sorry for that. I really only have one slot a week available, and it's not particularly helpful for those like in multiple time zones away. So like India, for example, a 12 and a half hour shift. It'll be tough for you folks. Gigi, welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can. How are you?
Oh my god, I'm really saying I was so stressed out that this same thing was going to happen to me.
Were you panicking,
I'm-
trying to get like plugging in things?
I was sweating. I was trying to get my other laptop going.
Give us
all
some
good.
context about who you are and what's the problem you're trying to solve.
Sure. So I'm a UX designer and I studied user-centered design. I've got like just over 3 years experience and I was made redundant in February. I guess my strategy was just like applying on LinkedIn a lot. I also went on a holiday. I've done some other things. But yeah, I'm not having a lot of success on the interview front. I think it's not really like getting an, well, it's not at the interview stage, it's more like getting the interview. I'm wondering if there's anything in my portfolio that maybe a hiring manager like sees in the first, I don't know, like 20 seconds that they open my portfolio and maybe is there anything that's sort of increased their bounce rate? Is there any way that I could lure them in a bit more, or is there anything in that communication?
Yeah, I'm with you. So you're applying for jobs currently. Do you have any knowledge on what your current success rate is for any kind of interview, like 1 to 100, anything like that?
I don't think I've applied to 100 jobs, which probably is also a bad sign because I've been unemployed for quite a few months. But it's more like I've had 3 interviews and I've applied to quite a lot, like maybe 80 or 90. But what is this called? Referrals have helped a lot.
Yes. Okay, cool. So there are the current economic. Are you in the States?
Oh, I'm in London.
London, okay. I certainly can't speak for the economic culture of London right now. I can tell you in the States, a 1 to 100 ratio is fairly common now. So actually, like 3 hits per 100 is actually a fairly healthy ratio, as awful as that sounds. Though I'm hearing that referrals are all of those interviews, are they all through referrals?
No, so 2 were through recruiters. I already knew I wasn't really at that level of that job, but they still referred me. And then 1 was actually a referral, like an internal company referral, and I got through to the final stage with that. And then
Okay. Okay, cool. And then so we can totally take a look at your portfolio, but realistically when I'm looking, like if you're struggling to get interviews, the first document I would prefer to look at is the resume. Are you interested in talking about the resume at all, or would you rather focus on the portfolio?
yeah, sure. I'm happy to share a link to one of my CVs. I mean, I tailor each CV to job.
Okay.
See if I can-
And are you okay sharing that CV knowing that your phone number, for example, might be shared with the public?
Yeah, that's fine with me. I think I don't put my phone number in the UK, at least it's not really standard to put your phone number on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so where my mind is at is like if you're struggling to obtain interviews, we can walk through that what that funnel looks like. But typically resume is the start of the funnel, and that's usually where the greatest failure point is. Love to take a look at that. Can I find it on the website or are you sending something?
No, I'm gonna send a link
Okay.
to a job that I applied to. Actually, this is not a product design role. It's actually creative technologist junior role because I'm really interested in creative technology as well. Maybe this isn't actually.
How's this looking? Is this the right one?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, it looks like there's no communication or like no contact data on there. Am I correct in speculating that you have removed it for sharing purposes?
I think it's just not standard here to share like your. Oh, it's usually like on the application process that they'll have the phone number, but I can definitely add it if it's something that.
Interesting. Okay, so that could be a cultural bias that I'm just not aware of. Folks in the chat, if there are any other folk from London here, I would love to challenge if contact info is not culturally typical to be found on a resume. I would speculate it is relevant, but I could totally be wrong, and I'm willing to learn. I see, and you've got a different one you're wanting to look at.
Yeah, actually, sorry, let's look at this one.
Perfect. All right, cool. And this does have contact info on there. Yeah, it sure does.
Okay, cool.
All right, neat. Let's see here. Work experience, UX design research. And by the way, Google Docs is one of the 2 applications I recommend for creating resumes. The concern there is ATS consumption. I know people don't like Google Docs and Microsoft Word don't give a whole lot of control. They're still the top contenders for resumes to the modern world. So Google Docs is great. You've got a summary section at the top, contact info. Language, which is unusual for me to see at the top, but I imagine in Europe that's probably more common.
It's just a flex, I guess.
I mean, flex it up, but I have to imagine like London has far more diversity in culture than I'm gonna say like average America does, and I have to imagine multiple languages is a real benefit there. UX designer, researcher, creative experience. Okay, cool. Independent projects, education, professional development, core skills. You're doing a lot of stuff here really well. The order of information is looking correct. There aren't any like quick wins I have for you at first glance. There are some nuances here. Man, I'm trying to think. How do I pronounce your name?
Georgina or Georgie?
Georgina. I'm trying to think like where we can provide the most value. And there are certainly things we could talk about in regard to the resume. But if the problem you're trying to solve is not getting interviews, I don't know that the resume is holding you back. Let me read some bullets here real fast. And then product design. And I like the selective bolding. Owned mobile first design across Canon's EMEA web estate for 13 plus markets. And there's the how. Delivered developer and handover delivered in 2-week agile sprints. That's somewhat of a why. Continuously iterative flows through A/B testing content. I mean, these are, impact 14 plus percentage purchase intent. Like you've got impact in here. You've got metrics. This resume is good. You're doing a lot of stuff here really well. If there was one silly thing I could mention, it's that I would also put a title on your summary section specifically for ATS consumption. So like when it's parsing your resume, the ATS knows what that paragraph is. But I would be surprised if modern ATSs don't pick it up anyway. Professional development, that's a standard section. Independent projects is potentially a less standard section that ATSs may not know what to do with. Georgina, I don't like there are nuances here we could talk about. I don't think this is holding you back. And with that in mind, I want to go back to your website. Is that okay?
Okay, thank God it's not my CV.
Yeah, your thing is doing great. There are I've got some hot takes in regard to CVs that I am wanting to challenge. Like you've got 2 pages, for example. I think that's totally applicable. I'm contemplating can it be more than 2 pages nowadays? Like we don't print resumes anymore. Let's add like 4 other pages. Bam, every keyword hit. But like those are 2 big conversations for today, and it's not valuable for your problem. All right, let's do a review of your portfolio then instead. Were you here, like you've been listening for a while now, have you heard the conversations about value props?
Yeah, and I saw that link as well.
Okay, excellent. That would be the first thing I would want to challenge. And the barometer for success here that you can potentially utilize is, does this value prop, if I were to copy and paste this value prop on another UX designer, does it still work for them? And if it does, then you know it's not positioning you effectively, and you know it's not helpful or valuable for you. So that would be one barometer. In this particular case, I think you're describing the industry of UX and not you. Therefore, it's not differentiating you. So that would be something I'd want to work on, value prop. Let's see. Actionables. Value prop. Would you like me to go into more depth there, or have you already heard the previous conversations?
No, I think that's fine. Yeah, I'll develop that.
Perfect. Cool. You've got social proof here, I think. Oh, look at that. It swivels, or it's click and draggable fun. Cool. I think most folks skip past that, but that's an opinion. I don't have evidence for that. Next up, we've got case studies. Oh, well, look at this. UX and optimization specialist. Now, that's an opinion. How do you feel about tossing that in your value prop?
Yeah.
Optimization specialist. I'm not sure I understand what that means, but that's interesting. And it certainly makes me want to like read more about what that means.
I guess it's just like another way to say UX designer and researcher, because it was using like live metrics and A/B testing and those things to like optimize the website.
Interesting. What position are you targeting when you're applying?
So yeah, this one was like 12-month role at Depop. That's why it's also red. But product designer, I guess mainly UX and UX research is what I've got experience in. But then I'm also open to more creative technologist or kind of UX for different types of screens, like maybe TV or wearables, sort of path.
Okay. I mean, that's one. Wearables is certainly a niche. How would you feel about building a value prop that positions you for like the wearable market? Is that up your alley or is that too specific?
I think like right now I just need a job, and the most experience I have is really like UX design and research, and I know that's super general, like a lot of people have also on this call been saying. Yeah, I think there's not enough like companies that do like wearables and things like that for me to stand out maybe necessarily, especially like what you were saying, the market's prioritizing senior candidates, so mid junior is a bit scarce.
Yeah, totally empathize with where you're coming from. I would argue that even that if your goal is like getting the job as quickly as possible, if that's the goal,
Yeah.
niching down is still the most effective way of getting to that goal most quickly. That said, if the industry of wearables isn't hiring, then like clearly that positioning is not effective for you. So you'll have more wisdom there than I will.
Yeah.
Cool. Next up are case studies. These are case studies, right?
So basically, this is like an overview summary of my experience at Canon. All of them, like it's all amalgamated on one page. So if you click on them, they'll go to certain points on one page.
Interesting. Okay. There's an optimization we can do. So the hiring managers and recruiters, they'll look at your value prop, they'll scroll down and they'll immediately look for your case studies. And at the moment,
Yeah.
my perception was that these were 3 different case studies. And
Uh-huh.
but I also didn't understand that they were, how do I describe this? So I saw the title here and I didn't understand if this was a case study section or if these were 3 different case studies. Would love to, if I go back to Carolyn's, like something like this would be really powerful. So just like one quick section, describe, I can't highlight it, but describe the title of that case study, whatever that storytelling element would be. I think that would get you some distance. So replace this section with just the title of that particular thing and then one image that showcases that. And then do that same pattern for the rest of these. Is it just the 2 case studies?
So I have like 2 work experiences in UX. So would you recommend having like one case study for each experience, or could I have several case studies reflect the different things I've done? Because at Canon, for example, like I helped redesign and rebuild the Figma design system. I optimized like, like smaller projects.
Yeah, you can absolutely do smaller projects. I prefer smaller projects, and they're easier stories to tell. The quandary is like, how do you boil down? I worked at this place for 2 years. How do you boil down 2 years of effort into one case study? It can be done, but chances are the stories are stronger if you break up. Like for 6 months, I worked on this particular project, and this was the specific problem I was solving, and then make 3 case studies out of that 2 years. That's typically a stronger story. How are you feeling about that? Do you feel like you've got some capability there?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's good. 2 case studies is a fine number. The ideal we'd be looking for is 3. Some folks say 5. I'd hesitate arguing past 3. But I mean, I think if your goal is to write another case study here, it sounds like you've got the capability there. Comfortable working in ambiguity, driven by problem solving. All right, that's fine. Let's talk about, how about your about page?
Mm. I've been on this call, I've been rejigging some things. I've deleted a whole page and moved one page to different areas. So my origin story doesn't necessarily, it was not that before, basically. I just
You've
put it
edited
somewhere.
this while we've been talking?
Yeah.
So if I refresh, is there going to be new stuff?
Oh, no, not right now, but before
Oh,
it was
okay.
my go.
Okay, got it. Okay, so the reason I'm talking about the about page is because you had mentioned. Let me back up. There are several methods of getting jobs at organizations. The two big ones are cold applying for positions and then getting referrals into organizations. And as you're probably well aware, referrals into organizations is by far the more effective strategy of getting jobs. And some folk will even argue, don't even bother cold applying, just build your network. And then when you have an application that fits within your network, you can apply for that job, but then ping that person that you have applied and they can push you to the front of the line. So like the reason I'm talking about your about page is it targets those folk. So these are folk that would provide you referrals, and those folk don't care as much about your case studies. I mean, they certainly do a bit because they'll have to work with you, but they care way more about like, who is Georgina as a person? If I share a cubicle wall with you for 8 hours a day, are you going to make my life miserable? Are you fun to hang out with? Are you going to help us grow? That sort of stuff. So that's where the about page really comes into play. Now you've got a lot of stuff going on here. I love that you're expressing personality. And I tell folks here in the chat that your about page is like closer to a dating profile than it is a business document because it's showcasing personality. I think this looks great. And then the whole, okay, so if the about page is nice, homepage needs some opportunity for value prop and positioning. Case study formatting on the homepage could use a slight tweaking. How about your case study itself? Is this where a failure point could occur? Oh, and that didn't even link me to the top of the case study. So if I click on this guy, yeah, were you aware of that the first image doesn't even...
No, so yeah, because I deleted one of the like global nav links, which was oh no, sorry. Actually, if you go back to the homepage, when you click on the see all canon projects, then that will take you to the top of the page, whereas each one of these individual blocks will take you down the page.
Got it. Okay, cool. Certainly a hurdle in its current state. I think we've resolved that already by transitioning that section to just one image and one description. Neat. So UX and optimization specialist for Canon EMEA. Here's your housekeeping shenanigans, which is great for recruiters. Oh, look at that awards, right on. Project overview. Okay. Opportunity there. Strategic projects. Optimizing lead generation. Current key. Okay, let's do a couple of things here. I'm hoping we have time for this, though I'm looking at the clock and we've got 10 minutes left. I'm going to open a utility called Notebook LM. Have you ever used this utility before? All right. The reason I'm opening it now is because it takes about 7 or 8 minutes to chew on stuff. This is Toby. He's going to join us for this call.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, you say that now. He's going to show you his butt here real soon. All right, let's come back to Notebook LM. That's chewing on something, and hopefully by the time we're done talking, that will be resolved. So, case study here. I'm seeing a couple areas of opportunity. So as I'm going through case studies, there are typically 3 questions I'm having to get answered. Question 1 is, what's the problem you're trying to solve? Super important question. And in its current state, I don't know that I'm seeing... Oh, wait, challenge. To maintain engagement throughout our pages whilst also appealing to a wide range of users and needs. Okay, but developing the appropriate level of content disclosure. Cool. So we're missing the problem statement. So this challenge is awesome. The quandary is it's positioning you as a person that's following instruction as opposed to a product designer that's trying to solve business problems. So do you have an acknowledgement of like what's the main problem you're trying to solve in this case study?
I mean, this part is just describing like my business as usual, which would it genuinely, like, if I go to the task that I had to do was I would get content, someone would say, oh, we need to publish this on our site. How's the best way to publish that? And then I just kind of look at metrics, see how the page is already performing, update content, um, send like the wireframes to the
Got it. Okay,
rest of
cool.
the team.
Let's there's a conversation here. I don't know if this is a mindset that you have, but it's an opportunity to talk about it, and this would be healthy for chat. I'd like you to think about your portfolio and case studies. Let me back up. Some folks perceive their portfolio and case studies and their resume as historical accountability documents. As in, I need to create a resume that showcases and illustrates the factuality of my career history to its most truthful extent. I'd like to reposition that mindset and state that your resume and your portfolio, these are not accountability documents, these are marketing documents. And with that mindset, I want to lean more into describing your skill sets and capabilities beyond that of just the case studies, even if they're factually somewhat askew. So the mindset that I'm trying to instill here is that, like, let's say you've got a resume and let's say you've got AI experience, but the problem is you did not have the ability to utilize AI at that job, therefore you can't put it on your resume. Well, that is like, it'd be factually inaccurate to put AI in your career history then, but like, that's not the hiring manager's goal. The hiring manager is to understand who you are as a person and your skill set and capabilities as an individual, not like, were you a perfect fit for that last job? So I would argue if we could just, like, though it's factually inaccurate, if we were to just slide AI capabilities in that last job description, technically not true, but more truthful to you as a candidate, right? So it's like, that's what I'm trying to lean more into, is your resume and your portfolio are marketing documents, not factual accuracy documents. How are you feeling about that mindset? It comes at the cost of, like, I don't want to say it's sneaky, but it's tweaking the truth a little bit. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think everyone has to do that anyway for like
And
these applications. But I think you're right. Like I've taken my portfolio as an archive of my experience and not as like a marketing of myself and like what I can sort of the value that I can give to a potential employer, I guess.
archive is a great word to use. Interesting. Okay. And I would, for the record, argue that though adding that stuff might be factually inaccurate, it's more ethical and truthful to you as a person, therefore, like, morally okay, especially knowing that hiring managers, they're trying to validate your capability, not your work history. So I would argue it's still ethical. Chat, feel free to challenge me on that. Happy to learn. Okay. So that's where I'm thinking, like, you probably were provided instructions like, hey, this is the challenge that you have to solve. When you're done with that, let us know and we can validate that a success occurred and you've done your job. But you probably didn't get a business problem that they were trying to solve. Is that sounding right?
Sorry, what was that?
So I'm imagining that when you were working on this project, somebody assigned you this challenge, but they never assigned you a problem that needed solving and then enabled you to, like, figure out what the solution was, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of that because it was very like bureaucratic company.
Yeah.
And it was a very UX mature company. I'd say that there wasn't a lot of UX maturity in the company, so UX was more of an afterthought than like a problem solving tool.
Got it. Am I hearing that? It sounds like you had a UX manager that was giving you, like, tickets to work on. Is that sounding right?
Just a project manager, yeah.
Ah, project manager. So not even, okay, cool. For folks in the chat unfamiliar, project manager is a job title that's typically associated with, like, more corporate but waterfall oriented approaches, as opposed to, like, lean agile methodologies. You won't find project management in, like, Scrum formations, for example. So I'm hearing, Georgina, that, like, your formation probably, I don't want to say dated because I don't have enough info, but probably more old school and, like, conservative in regard to, like, risk adversity. Is that sounding right? Okay, interesting. Cool. So, like, you were assigned a challenge or you were given a challenge to solve. Let's let's lean more into that marketing aspect, and let's instead try to position this as this company had a problem, and I was assigned on how to solve this problem. And thanks to my discovery and research, I narrowed down solving this problem through this particular challenge. And then you can display that challenge again, but it's through the guise of, like, through all the discovery and research, this is how I've narrowed down the scope. Is that sounding okay with you?
Yeah, perfect. You did it.
Okay. And the benefit of that, if we went back to this, do I still have it open? If we went back to this graphic that I showcased earlier, and understanding that the product design role, wait, you're targeting UX design roles, is that right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So like UX design, it's still there. It's less on business. You can see, and this graphic isn't perfect, but UX still bends a little bit into business. I think that's going to position you more effectively for other UX design roles, diving more into like the problems that you're trying to solve, as opposed to just like answering challenges. Okay. I'm looking at the clock. I want to go back to this note. Oh, it's still generating. It should be done any second though. Okay, let's continue to scroll. Strategic projects, optimizing our lead generation form, from proposal for initial amends, form proposal for the initial amends. There's another tactic here of storytelling I want to lean into. So another barometer for success is if I were to only read, let me back up. No one reads your case study. The hurdle is hiring managers, future peers, recruiters. No one actually reads the entire thing. And instead we skim through them. And sometimes we find a section that we like and we like read that specific section. But most of the time we're skimming through the whole case study. So then the quandary becomes, how can one write a case study that is consumable for only folk that skim? And that's where two things come into play really heavily. So one is strong imagery, and you've got a bunch of imagery here. So I think you're doing fine with that. I think the ratio here is okay as well. The other thing we can lean into is storytelling in your titles specifically. So the barometer for success here is if I were to only read your case study and only read the titles, I should still glean an understanding of what you wanted to accomplish. So if I were to go through this, and I'm going to ignore the first section because the first section is like those are housekeeping things. Business as usual, product services, and campaign pages. This is okay. I would love for some more storytelling in there. So like, well, this is like an overview context section, isn't it? I'm going to skip that section too. Let's go right to strategic projects. This tells me nothing about the story that you're trying to tell. So an easy thing we can try here is just replace the title with the first sentence. What if we were to instead entitle this section, Canon's largest strategic web project was restructuring the global navigation to align with user behavior rather than internal business silos. Like that is already a story. And it could be made shorter for a title, sure, but like that's already starting to capture what the story is you're trying to tell. And that also somewhat summarizes the entire rest of the paragraph, I think. Let's try the next one. Optimizing our lead generation form. I identified an opportunity to optimize our contact form, which is the main lead generation on our office, business, and production printer pages. So that one doesn't work quite as well. That one needs help. But we could instead say something like, our main lead generation for our office and business wasn't functional. Something like that. So now we're trying to tell the story that like this entire paragraph is dedicated to talking about the lead generation and why it doesn't work. How are you feeling about that feedback so far?
Yeah, super good. Yeah, and I think in general, like there's a bit too much text, and that's what I've heard. But I'm definitely gonna make the titles much more descriptive and make the description blogs shorter, punchier, because then all of this will be said in an interview anyway.
I think that's going to get you a long way. The title of the case study as well could go through some of that storytelling. UX optimization specialist for Canon. I would instead like to see what's the outcome that Canon was able to achieve thanks to your efforts. So like we could say something like increase Canon, what was I just reading about? The lead generation? Increasing lead generation at Canon by 20%. Like some sort of benefit like that, that would be a far stronger story to this case study. Do you feel like you've got something there for that title?
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of like the So we've already mentioned it would be better to split this long sausage of a page into like smaller, like more focused case studies. So like where I talk about this lead generation optimization, where I talk about navigation restructure, like smaller blocks, like individual pages, I mean.
I don't mind the length of this case study if that's a concern.
Okay.
So then if the challenge is, would this be stronger as two individual case studies? I don't know that I've got enough insight to tell you just yet, mostly because I haven't read through it entirely, and I'm not sure I fully understand the story that you're trying to tell just yet. Hence why I'm trying to target like the titling of paragraphs, because I think that's going to assist a lot. Was that a sneeze? Bless you.
Oh, no, it was just cleaning my computer screen.
I heard a squeak there. Okay, let's go back to Notebook LM. It's surely done now. Notebook LM is a Google utility. It's a research utility, and the idea is I can give Notebook LM a bunch of data on one particular thing, and it will then use AI to help me understand, learn that stuff, research that stuff, and generate some stuff. So we're training an LLM on very specific data. In this case, I've said, hey, Notebook LM, just take a look at your case study, and let's generate, in this case, a slide deck based on your case study. So now we get to see how might the robot have told the same story that you're telling in your case study. Now, this is a really interesting utility in one specific way. You will notice that the imagery here is fabricated. You're welcome to take inspiration from it, but know that it's going to give you a lot of generic or like unusual imagery along with it. What I really want you to focus on is how it tells the story, and it's so good at telling the story. So let's go to slide 2. The architecture of a creative technologist. Slide 3, engineering the business as usual, plus 14% purchase intent, plus 25 page engagement, minus 13% bounce rate. Is this content that you've written, or were these impact metrics in your case study?
Yep.
I completely missed them. Where are those located?
Oh yeah, no, they must be somewhere.
There they are right there. Look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, I completely missed that. So this is already showcasing like some really important stuff that I missed. Restructuring architecture for user behavior, previous internal silos, now a user-centric hub. The storytelling is so good here. So this is a free utility. I'll add a link to the chat. I think you get 3 free generations a day, something like that. But if you purchase Gemini, it comes with that stuff as well. But Notebook LM, a really awesome utility for iterating case studies and leaning into the storytelling aspects of things.
No, I love this. I'm definitely gonna read through. I'll do my own on my laptop and then read through it.
Diagnosing friction in lead generation. What a great title, and it totally represents what's being described here. It's so good. Chat, please use Notebook LM for case study iteration. It's so great. Georgina, how are you feeling? Do you feel like you've got some actionables that you can potentially take and iterate your case study with?
Yes, thank you so much. I feel a lot more confident on like what changes to prioritize in my case study, and then also that my CV is generally all right. It's just the amount of I need to be applying to a lot more.
I think that's where my mindset is as well. If there was a failure point, I would point at your portfolio as being weaker than your resume.
Yeah.
So that would be what I would want to iterate on. But also, you've gotten 3 interviews for 80 applications. That's not a bad ratio. So I think you're doing stuff okay. I think you're doing all right.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Nate. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Georgina, really appreciate the time and you being willing to hop on here with me. Folks, I'm looking at the time. That's going to do it for Feedback Friday. I will stick around a little bit to answer any questions that you folks have in the chat. If you'd like to get your thing reviewed in the future, would love to see you on a future Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you're really dedicated to getting your thing to hopping up on stage here and getting a review, you'll want to consider showing up 10 minutes early or so, just to make sure you're one of the first 5 or so on the list. Let's open the floor to questions. Any questions out there? And I can scroll up in the chat and see what has been previously written. Yeah, Ken, appreciate the kind words. Happy to provide resources. Yeah, Aditya, the Notebook LM, you just provide a resource, and then it generates the content from there. So here's Notebook LM, here are all the things that I can generate in Notebook LM. So in this case, like a mind map, flashcards if you're trying to learn something, data tables. The video overview is wild. Having it like generate a 30-minute video that like walks you through what the project is. It's all AI based, of course, but what a crazy world we live in nowadays. Coyote, I'm getting recruiter interviews, but not converting to second or third rounds. Is this a portfolio issue? No. So if you're getting recruiter interviews, your portfolio and resume have achieved success. The ultimate goal of your portfolio is to get the interview. So your portfolio is successful. Now you're working on the socialization interviewing skill sets. And it sounds like that's where the failure point is occurring. I would want to work on, God, there are a lot of different things we could work on for that. I'd want to pinpoint where the potential friction could be. That's where like a mock interview or a one-on-one in-person conversation would come into play. It's possible it's still the experience, but theoretically, if you've gotten the interview, they've already negotiated that. So yeah, I would want to speak one-on-one to better understand where the failure point could occur in the interviewing side of things. I am here to learn how to develop a health intelligence tool for elderly or health conscious people. What are tools that I can learn to use? That's a big question. Like, what tools are out there? I'd be looking for some constraints to answer that question. Are there, I want to know more about you and what your goals are. Like, we could talk about AI tools all day long, but the tools aren't really as important as your method of like negotiating and solving this problem set. It also depends on where you are in the process. Like if you're in a high discovery, they're different, like the research discovery side of things would be a different tool set than the output design side of things. So I don't have a quick answer for you there. It just depends on your context, what elevation of the application you're currently at, what stage you're in. I wish I had a quicker answer for you. Ken, the session is recorded. Let me throw a link in the chat. We are currently live streaming on YouTube. Right there. Discovery stage. Gotcha. I would then want to dive deeper into like, are you on a product team? Are you constrained by particular business recommendations or constraints? Are you working in agile formation or waterfall formation? So many questions we could ask there. So I would need to learn more before I could provide any like reasonable feedback there. I guess I could stop sharing. What are your top design book recommendations? Oh boy, that is another big question. Oh, I'm sorry, Coyote. I'm applying to senior product design roles, and I think my answers aren't holding up to probing. Okay. Usually ask questions about my past work and design methodology. I tend to ramble. Okay. Well, it sounds like you've got some familiarity with where you think the hurdle is occurring. Mirrorball, what are your top design book recommendations? Another big question that requires context. Give me some constraints there. What are there particular directions that you're looking to learn more about? What kind of designer are you? Like product design, UI design? I've got different recommendations for like different contexts for where people are. How to enter into product designer roles as a fresher with 4 case studies. I mean, you've done it. Those are the things you need to do in order to apply for product design roles, is to have those case studies, that portfolio ready, and start interviewing. Is there a problem that you're trying to solve? Because it sounds like you've already got the things you need for success there. Fabian's asking for marketing book recommendations. Marketing is such a fun industry. For those on the call unfamiliar, my education is in marketing. I went to college for marketing. Man, that's another question where it's like, I'd want to know more about what you're trying to do before I provide recommendations. But if I were to like generically for everybody provide a couple of suggestions here. The book, The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, come to mind. And that's an interesting one because it's a very quick read. It's a tiny book and it showcases the power of marketing quickly, but it doesn't dive into, it's pretty tactical theory as opposed to the understanding of the industry of marketing. So it's if you're looking for a gateway drug into marketing, the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing is a good start. There are more philosophical marketing books that I like to preach. Simon Sinek has one, The Infinite Game, I think is really good. He's more famous for his book, Start with Why. And we've talked about that in our resume writing bullets, starting with the why. So I've certainly utilized some of that wisdom, but I think his book, The Infinite Game, is more impactful, or it has been at least more impactful to me. Also technically not a marketing book, but it might as well be. Amanda, my background is in software engineering development, but want to transition to more product type roles. Do you have any advice on the career pivot, and what are some good early steps to take? Background in software engineering, transition to a product type role. What kind of product type role are you thinking? Like product design? Or are you thinking something adjacent to that? We could also position you as a product manager, product owner, depending on your team formation. Mirrorball. I'm pursuing my bachelor's in design, entering my 3rd year. These are the design books that I've read, and I'm looking to read books that help me design better user experiences. Let's see. Design of Everything. I don't know why people enjoy the book, The Design of Everyday Things. I found that book so boring. Maybe it's just me. He has, Don Orman he's like the Tolkien of product design books, takes 40 pages to describe something really minimal. That said, I think it's just dated. I think it was paramount for when it was written in the 80s, and nowadays it's just common knowledge. Hooked is a wild one. The book Hooked is hey, here's the process by which one creates addiction. Good luck, have fun. It provides no guidance on ethics whatsoever, which is wild, but it's the theory there is solid. Just Enough Research was solid. Thinking in Systems, Daniela Meadows. That's a heavy book, though awesome for system level thinking, as the title describes. Ergonomics for Beginners. I haven't read that one. And I don't think I've read the rest of these. Never Use Futura, Thinking with Type, Emotional Design. So the rest of these look like, except I see another Don Norman in there. The rest of these look like they might be more tactical. But I love that you're reading. I love that you're diving into this education. Let's see, Amanda, I think so. PM or design both sound interesting to me. I'm mostly interested in solving product problems. Oh, okay, cool. So, Amanda, I've got a hot take for you. The hurdle you're trying to solve is you're in the software engineering space, and you're trying to position yourself more toward product. The hot take that I have, let me throw 2 hot takes at you. So my hot take number 1 is that I think the UI and UX titles are going to phase out in replacement of product designer. I think that title is going to consume those particular roles. The evidence for that being that because UI is heavily tactic and output oriented, we're seeing AI consume a lot of that novelty. Therefore, it's going to get consumed into UX. The argument for UX is nobody knows what the term UX means. And it's got this weird amalgamation of definitions that nobody can really agree on. The product design title feels more unanimous with what folk are doing. Therefore, UX will just get consumed by product design. And it feels like that's the way the industry is heading. Matthew Galley in the chat, I'd be curious to hear their opinion on this as well, and other senior product design folk. So that's hot take number 1. I think the product design title is going to consume UX and UI. The other hot take is, thanks to the involvement of AI, and we're seeing the inclusion of now AI-assisted workflows, I now perceive product designers diving higher level into business strategy, as opposed to product managers and product owners diving deeper into design and tactics. So typically positions evolve higher up and they don't go down. So I think in regard to like the next steps of like what does product design look like, I think AI is going to be huge involvement there clearly. But I think that title is also going to shift more toward like product strategist, something like that, because I think thanks to AI being able to really assist with these workflows and build prototypes and build iterations super quickly, we're going to now have to focus more on like what are the business problems that we're solving, and then product designers are going to start thinking more strategically. And I see the product design title shifting toward like product strategist or whatever that title ends up looking like. The industry is still working on it. We don't know yet. So it would be, I think you're well placed for like whatever that position ends up being. It could also just be product manager for the time being, but that role is in sort of a weird flux right now. All this to say, Amanda, I don't know if I have a clean answer for you, but if your goal is like sticking with the product side of things, I would want to lean more into like agile methodologies. Thanks to AI, we can iterate super fast now. So waterfall methodologies, and they were phasing out anyway. But like, there's just no more. There are very few arguments for waterfall methodologies nowadays. Agile methodologies is where the folks are being hired for. And if you're using the term PM, then you probably already have a Scrum background. There's always Scrum education there as well. I am a certified Scrum Master, though I don't talk about it much. It's not particularly interesting to most folk. Yeah, Matthew's a mentor on Hop. Feel free to hang out with Matt on there. Matthew, I don't know, is Hop I don't know if Hop's fully publicized just yet, but I'm excited to be more involved in that. Yeah, Mirrorball talking about the ramblings of Don Norman. Totally get it. What is the best advice you give to freelancers? I don't know. I have no experience in freelance. So that would be a Tim question. I would love if you were here to answer that. But I just don't have enough experience to provide an answer. And I'm terrified I would provide you bad advice. So if I were to answer that from like a marketing question, I would say, dive down the marketing route, heavily utilize what's referred to as a market orientation approach, where you prioritize building a product that's dedicated to solving a market problem, not like pushing a particular product that you already have. Huge conversation there, but that's if I were to provide marketing advice, it would be look for market fit before you actually build a product. Ricardo, hello. Oh, Gigi, where's the link to the interactive positioning value prop page? I can provide that. Sure. Oh, looks like Amanda already beat me to it. Well done, Amanda. Brownie points for Amanda. Hops posted on LinkedIn. People, are you ready for Tomorrowland? I don't even know what that is. Is that a new movie or something coming out? See, this is why I can Google this without sharing my screen, just in case you guys are trolling me. It's a festival. What is this? This looks wild. What is Tomorrowland? Look at the photos here. Look at that guy. He looks so happy. Well, I'm not ready for Tomorrowland, but apparently this is a big thing. It looks expensive. It's live on YouTube right now. Shall we check it out? Oh boy. How to get your YouTube channel demonetized. Well, there we go. There's Tomorrowland. I can't turn the sound on for a variety of reasons, but there it is. Glad you guys are having fun there. Any other questions that I haven't been able to answer? And if I've missed one, feel free to repeat it. I can't get any interviews, but I've been told that I have a strong portfolio and even stronger resume. Is there anything else that could be stopping employers? There are all kinds of reasons. One could be stopping you from getting resumes. Katie, pleasure. Appreciate the kind words. The quick answer, or the thing that immediately comes to mind, is the big reason you're potentially not getting more interviews is because the competition out there is so just tremendously great. It's when it comes to like the current market standards, employers are typically prioritizing those with industry specialization, but with a generalist skill set of some kind. And you're seeing this a lot with agile enterprise environments. So something that comes to mind is like, we can have a perfectly built portfolio, but if it doesn't target a specific industry that's hiring, then you're already getting outbid for jobs. And if it's positioning you around skill sets that aren't generalist in nature, then there could be a misalignment in skill sets anyway. But like, there's all kinds of reasons why you're not getting interviews. I would want to look at stuff before like providing advice on any of that. But those are the two. So the positioning comes to mind, and then the heavy competition also comes to mind. One interview per 100 applications is a pretty common story nowadays. So yeah, I'm sorry you're having trouble. No, it's not an easy market out there right now. Morale is needing some guidance as a beginner in UI UX. Yeah, would love to answer any questions if you had one. Also, I don't know if you guys keep thinking I'm picking my nose. My cat hit my face earlier, and they just have like cat hair like glued to my greasy face now, and it's driving me nuts. My entire face is itchy. And there's like some of it stuck in my nose now. I can feel it like twiddling in there every time I breathe in and out. Life is really hard, guys. Moral, I see you're typing in there. This will be the last question I answer before I take off for the day. Moral, I see you've got your hand up. Not looking for any stage invitations for the moment, but if you don't mind typing out the chat, I can just answer really quickly and then take off. Yeah, appreciate the kind words. I can't see your full username for some reason, but appreciate the kind words. I have a background in graphics designing. I'm good in visuals and have proper concept of UI UX, but do not know what's the market flow of designing. I think you're describing if you were to get a job at an organization, they will expect a flow by which you solve problems, and you're not sure what that flow is. Is that sounding right? Sure, okay. That's a big conversation. And you should know that there are different methodologies out there that have competing wisdoms by which these problems are solved. The classic, and like the first one that everybody learns about, is waterfall. And this is a linear approach to product design. There are three phases typically. There is the discovery phase, followed by the design phase, followed by the build phase. This is a project mentality which at the end there is a grand reveal and the project is launched. And in these mentalities and these workflows, it's more important for the project to be done correctly on the first try. Another methodology that competes with waterfall is called agile. And the idea is, well, rather than solving the entire project at one time, we're going to break this down into smaller pieces. And then we're going to solve each individual piece and publish each individual piece along the way. So in these formations, the prioritization is typically, it's better to publish quickly and try to get it perfect later. And I'm summarizing all of these quickly. And there's nuance to all of this. There's another competing mentality out there. You folks are probably familiar with the design sprint published by a guy named Jake Knapp, part of the Google Ventures team. And Jake Knapp has a philosophy of agile, but with a highly micromanaged approach. And the idea is, I'm going to provide, there's a book, Design Sprint. I'm going to provide 5 days for you to produce some sort of output. And here are the tactics that you do from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Monday, and then 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Tuesday. Like, it's a real micromanaged schedule. And that particular strategy is dedicated toward let's publish and prototype exceptionally quickly, and then every iteration after that is just another design sprint moving forward. And the tactics in that design sprint are different than the tactics in Agile, are different than the tactics in Waterfall, are different in tactics than another competing methodology out there. So there's no quick answer for you in regard to what's the flow. The real question is like, what methodology is best accommodating to that of the business constraints? And we can then learn like, okay, well, now that I know what those goals are, let's pick the methodology that best fits that industry and that best fits those constraints. Now I can start tweaking which tactics are utilized in that methodology and build a flow from there. What is the method, Nate? Or what can I know more about that? Which method are you thinking, Agile or the design sprint? By the way, Meryl, however it's pronounced, there are books out there for you to read. So like the design sprint, that's a book you're welcome to read by Jake Knapp. I don't typically recommend it for folks looking for agile space. Like, it's a fascinating theory. I would argue not super applicable to any enterprise environments. It's really dedicated, like really small startup teams. In regard to agile, lots of books out there. Do I have one behind me? I'm sure I do. What are the... I have books on Scrum behind me, but that's sort of agile adjacent. Good books on agile product design. I'm finding a bunch of books on Google, but I haven't read any of them, so I don't know if I have recommendations on agile development. Waterfall, I recommend you don't learn about. I mean, I will always recommend educating and learning, but I don't recommend it as a methodology that you should instruct. Learn about Agile. Agile is dope. Happy to talk more about Agile on here someday. All right, folks. Pleasure hanging out with all of you. I'm looking at the clock. I got to take off. Lovely seeing all your faces. We do this every Friday. If you want to get your thing showcased, would love to see you next Friday. Come 10 minutes early and paste in your link in the chat if you want to get something reviewed. Otherwise, I'll see you another time. Take care, folks.